So welcome to another week of the program. Later in this program, we have an interview with Mike. My good friend Mike Alchemy is going to join us and talk about his photography. But first, we have schools have to reopen before sports can restart. No fans, no plans. Coronavirus shutdown creates uncertainty throughout Major League Baseball. We have other things to discuss about this as well. Welcome. It says stay home. CDC issues domestic travel advisory for New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut. Cuomo prepares for more. New York says banking must be more inclusive. Hope in virus hotspots shows. These are local newspapers clippings that I have for you today. Baseball is happening. Masks are being required to be worn. Nursing home numbers review brutality of a virus. We now know that this is not always true. Several of the nursing homes that I've discussed previously on this program, several of them have said that the numbers are not that high. They are taking care of the patients. They are doing what they're supposed to be doing. They are following procedures. But this is coming out now. It is coming out that we have these things now. I don't understand why all of a sudden now we have them. I don't understand why. I don't understand what's going on. But we are doing our best to decide this news pile. I may get into other things. I'm so excited about the interview that we're about to have with Mike Alchemy that I may just throw all this on the floor and do the interview with Mike Alchemy anyways. I'm not sure what I want to do. Mike is waiting. He's standing by. All I have to do is call him up and say we're ready. But I thought maybe some of you would want to hear some news stories. Some of you would want to hear what's going on with the coronavirus. Death tolls are down. Death tolls are not as high as they said they were. Death tolls are not as bad as it says they are. All of this news that I've calculated probably has nothing to do with today's show. I am so excited about the interview with Mike Alchemy. I haven't had him on in a long time. He is a good friend of ours. He is a photographer. He's also a paranormal investigator. He's also a darn good friend of mine. And hopefully everything is okay with him. He is one of those people that I do worry about, just in case the virus is as serious as they say it is. Just in case it is. He is one that I would be seriously optimistic about, in hopes that he is preparing for it, and in hopes that he's doing okay. I spoke to him yesterday about doing the interview today. He called me back. He said everything is going well with him. Everything is happening. Everything is doing what it's supposed to. His health is improving. Some other medical problems happened, and he's improving. He's doing well. He's doing everything he's supposed to be doing. He is managing okay. The Major League Baseball news that I have right here in front of me is that Fucci says it has to go on. The NFL, the NHL, Major League Baseball, other sports, basketball, it's all been put on hold. We are looking at some of the things that are being put on hold. I'm looking at the list of the stuff that's on hold. I'm looking at it because I'm trying to figure out which ones of these do I really want to talk about. I'm not a sports guy. I don't really know about sports like some people do, and I want to make sure that I'm reporting this correctly. Let me read a little bit about this. So, apparently, the sports want to come back. Apparently, they want to come back. They want to do well. They want to have things done well. They want to do the things that they want to do well. They want to have things well. They want to do it well. They want to focus. They want their fans repeatedly coming back. And that's what we're going to give them. I am a Jets fan. I'm a Pittsburgh Penguins fan. I'm a Buffalo Sabres fan. Toronto Blue Jays, Orioles, Cardinals, Atlanta Braves. They are some of the teams that I kind of follow once in a while. I'm not that much of a sports guy. But I'm glad these things will be coming back. I don't see why they can't play in an empty arena. Why they can't get the focus of the cameras and the TV equipment so they don't show the audience. Sports is mostly on the player. It's mostly on the team. It's mostly on the play of the game. So I don't see why it would be very hard for the television crew, the production crew, and any of the other crews that are involved in making the game public to us on our television or our internet or whatever sources we watch it from, the radio, and why we cannot have these games come back without us in the bleachers, without us in the seats, without us in the stands, without us in the arenas, without us in the stadiums, without us in the parks, without us in the domes, without us in the fields, or whatever else is going on. These sports can come back. I've decided. That's all the news I want to say today. I want to get to this interview. I really, really want to get to his interview. I want to see what's going on with him. We have some other things to announce here. The advertising packages have changed. Check out my website, www.brotherwade.com. We have made the website more functionable, more accessible to you, the people who are looking at the website. A lot of people have made complaints it's not accessible. It is accessible now, folks. It is. You can go up. You can look at it. You can see it. You can manage it. You can have it to what it is. You can do it to what it needs to be done. Why is there spiking in my microphone again, folks? Why is this spiking up and down like this? I'm not doing this. It's doing it by itself. Anyways, first problem of the day comes up with my microphone spiking out of control. I hope it doesn't happen during the interview. I'm all alone, so to speak. Not that alone. We've managed all the technical stuff we had to do last week. We had some technical difficulties. Last week we talked to Joe. I encourage you to go up there and focus on that program. Get that program. Listen to it. It was great information with Joe. I'm glad he came on the program. So what we're going to do is we're going to go on a little break here. Get all the advertising. Get all the production stuff out of the way. Get all the fancy news and details out of the way for you. And we are going to go live with Mike. I'm going to call him during the break. And we are going to put him on this program live when we come back. www.brotherwade.com is the website. CWLAWRENCE01@gmail.com is my email. Our phone number tonight, which I will not be monitoring that much, by the way, folks. 607-238-3816. We will take this short break, and we'll be right back with my friend Michael Alchemy. All right, we're coming off the break. Welcome back from the break, folks. It was a little longer than normal break. I wanted to get some of the advertising, some of the messages that we have out there. So, without further ado, we have my good friend here, Mike, with us today. I've known Mike for a very long time. You might remember him coming up here. We talked some paranormal. We used to do paranormal investigations together. But this week on Let's Talk About It, we're going to talk about model photography. He's a professional photographer. He's had the hobby a long time. Let's welcome him to the show. Mike, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let's get into why, how you got into it, and why.
Oh, gosh. I actually got into it modeling myself for another guy in Alaska, out in the tundra. And he was very much into taking pictures and stuff, so that got me to thinking about it. And I said, well, and then, when I went back home, I was still in the service at the time. I went to college, and I took a couple classes in it. my first model was my first wife, which for not very good, but I've taken. Um, of course, I always get a signed release, but back then I didn't even think about it. Which I've taken when I lived in Florida. I took some strippers and some porno stars and stuff like that, and I can't post them because I don't have agreement, that I can do that.
What porno stars did you take pictures of?
See, I can't think of their names. I got their pictures, but
Are they famous or are they just porno stars?
just locals, back in Florida, or the kind, the internet porno stars and stuff like that, and strippers and whatnot. My girlfriend was a stripper, and I took some pictures of her. But back then I used whatever cameras I had. Polaroids, it didn't matter. But But I guess I've always liked pictures of women, which is typical of a male, right? Typical of a male. I've always liked pictures of women, of course, and a voyeuristic attitude towards it. And but I don't have any ill intent or whatever. I mean, I started liking women about 14, about the same time I started writing poetry, and it was all dealing with females and stuff. But I used to look. I mean, like typical male, I used to look at the Sears catalogs and stuff like that. But now I've gone beyond all that little kitty stuff, and and I do it as a regular rule. I mean, you could say it's a hobby, but it's not a profession because I really don't make any money at it. I could, but I don't. And I have sold a few on commission, and I've had some commission models where they paid me, but I don't really make any money to speak of doing it. I do it for the love of it and the art and the beauty,
Yeah. Now, how much can somebody make on this? Can they make a lot of money on it?
As a photographer?
Yeah.
As a real professional photographer who has a studio set up, if you're working for magazines or something like that, you can make a lot of money. But there's so much competition out there to do that, and you got to be really excellent at doing it.
Now, is it good competition or bad competition? I mean, there's different kinds of competition. I mean, there's competition in podcasting, but we're not out here ruining each other over it.
Well, no, it's not intentional, a lot of it, but it's the competition comes from the people who get recognized. I mean, I could publish some books of my pictures, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which I did get one published, but I didn't get enough put out there to be sold. They used to belong to Art Side Online, and they went to punk, and I would sell a few there, but really cheap. So it's not easy making money. I mean, you could do like the one local photographer. The girls, the women, they go to model. They go to him to model, but they pay him, okay, to do that. But he's got his wife who does all the MUAs, which is a makeup artist and stuff like that, and hair. And then he's got the whole setup in a studio and whatnot. When I had a house, I was setting up a studio, but of course I lost my house, so. And that's when things started going south for me throughout everything with the modeling. I was homeless for that, and then I was homeless again, living in the car. I was homeless living in a tent. But the thing is I've had some dark days, so it's the keeping up to my work. I've just had a couple models recently, and I was telling Wade here that I had a 3-hour shoot I must have taken about 100 pictures, and my camera screwed up. So each one I was taking was being erased as I took it. 3 hours of work, and that really pissed me off.
Now, what kind of cameras do you use?
Well, I got a Canon and a Nikon, and professional cameras. the Canon's not working. I have to take it to Best Buy somewhere to get fixed.
So how does the camera erase the pictures?
It was set on format, format.
Yeah.
So every time I took a picture, it formatted it, which means it erased it.
Oh, no, that sucks.
Yeah, well, I got that figured out. And then the memory card wasn't working. I couldn't figure it. It took me 5 hours to figure out why that wasn't working. And it kept saying, slide the right thing, and I couldn't find what they were talking about. So I pulled out the memory card, and there's a slider on the side of the card, and I slid that, and now it's working. It took me 5 hours to figure that one out. You really got to learn your cameras, and that's not the easy thing. And the camera equipment is not cheap. I mean, had all the lighting, which I have such a small place now, it's almost impossible to take all the lighting, put it out. It's all packed away. And I keep rearranging my little apartment to try to get more space and more background. That I've only had, let's see, three models in the past couple months, which is some of these. Well, now with this virus thing, it's going to be even harder to find models, especially local women. And I must have made friends with 100.
Now, when you say you find a model, this means some girl agrees to be naked or doesn't want to be naked or whatever you want to do, because nude photography is art. Let's get down to it. It's art. So they're going to come in and they're going to get naked.
Some do.
You're going to take pictures of them, or they're going to wear outfits that you have for them. Now, let's say you did. So what is a normal photo shoot? Let's say we take them downtown, which I don't know if you could do that anymore because of all the state laws and all this other stuff.
Well, that, and plus I don't have a car anymore, so.
Yeah, so what, if you meet the girl downtown, what normally happens on this photo shoot? So for everybody listening.
Well, you look for good locations, for backgrounds and stuff.
So you could be going all over the city looking for stuff.
Well, I mean, I've done some on the bridge, the walk bridge, a big walk bridge across Shenandoah and whatever, and I've done some at parks and woods and stuff like that, and buildings. This is all prior to me losing my car too. So.
Well, I just mean on a normal shoot. What is it like? I usually
do it is at my place because I can't go anywhere, and my place is really small, so I'm limited in space for things and background. So I got to keep changing everything up to make different background and whatever.
All right, but say somebody wanted to do this. What would normally happen on a shoot? Let's walk the listeners who's never heard of this before, or they only see it being disgusting in porn shoots and magazines.
I don't do that. I go through. I have what you call sort of cheat sheets for different poses. I would go through about 10, 15 different poses for each model. And from each pose, I would get them to do at least 4 more poses from the same pose, from the same outfit, whatever, different angles and this and that thing. Stand up, sit down, lay down, above, whatever, all the different angles. And it takes time to do it all this way. And, of course, with my heart attack and everything, which I'm just now starting to get my energy back a little bit, I don't have the energy to do all the real hard work for it.
Yeah, you had a heart attack a few years ago, a year ago now.
Yeah, a year ago.
Yeah, so I hope everything's okay with that. And then everything started getting hectic with this virus, so I haven't been able to visit you because we're not supposed to visit our friends now, which is a joke.
Well, you can still do that, but you got to keep your distance. You know?
And
6 feet apart. That's all.
And we live in New York, so God knows what's going to happen now. But let's walk somebody through the food. So you meet with them. Now, if somebody's never done this before, what do you do to get them, convince them that you're not a total pervert and a weirdo? Because they're going to strip naked in public.
I'm really upfront about everything. I'm honest. I get them to sign a model's release, which is a contract, so to speak, that they will model, and they will do whatever I say for whatever money I pay them, and and if they don't agree to it, I mean, I've had some where don't want to get naked or anything like that. So, I charge them, I pay them less, and that's how it works. If a woman came to me, like I've had a couple who came to me to want their pictures, they paid me. I don't charge them a lot, but because I enjoy doing it.
And you do everything, right? You'd make the pictures, you take the pictures, you put them where they need them. You have software to do all that stuff, so you're like a one-stop shop here. One-stop shop.
Well, I mean, back when I was doing film, I even had a dark room with the enlarger and all that stuff and all the chemicals. But it takes me just as long now to do things in editing. Yeah, it took me 3 or 4 hours to edit one picture. Sometimes basically just bump up the contrast or the saturation or something like that. It's a passion, and it all stems from the fact that I love beautiful women, and I actually revere women in the sense that they're divine to me. They're inspirational, and I had a couple of women that were muses, you might call, who inspired me, and I'm trying to look for that again, but it's hard to do, especially around here in this local town. There's a lot of beautiful women, but there's none that are, they might think I am a pervert or something like that, so they don't respond.
Well, so for our audience to know, you are a professional photographer that sees this as art. It's not some perversion.
No, yeah. I mean, I will say I will do any kind of picture, though. With agreement, with consent.
But pictures to you is an art form. It's like somebody painting a picture. It's not some sexual deviant way for you to get off and have a little fun at home later.
I mean, I used to draw too, so I mean, it's the same idea. It's art to me.
Yeah. What happened to your drawing?
Well, at the last apartment, they got all flooded out. So it's a good thing I scanned them all and kept them in the computer. So I have them all scanned. Otherwise, they got all ruined in the flood in the basement. Anyway, I don't know. I mean, I got thousands of pictures of women on my walls, which is my open portfolio, mostly of the nudes. But then I got books and books of photos that I printed out and taken. I was going to do a couple gallery showings, but they fell through for whatever reasons. I was going to do two different ones at downtown Binghamton a couple years back when we were still into the paranormal investigating, and I had a couple offers, but they fell through showings. Yeah. Well, the one place closed. Remember Merlin's? Yeah. The gay bar, but he said I said it was mostly women. He said they don't care.
Merlin's was what I call an alternative bar downtown, and they were talking to you about some stuff. I often wondered what happened with that.
And then I also had an art walk, and there was a couple of places who wanted to sponsor me. But that for some reason that didn't come through, because for one thing, I have to make up 100 prints of different photos. I have to frame some of them in order to sell any of them, and
so how much is doing that? Somebody's out there that likes this as a hobby. They're listening to it right now.
Getting it printed, the ink is. I just bought ink for this computer. It's already gone. Pretty much, it's $40 for just the ink. That's the cheap
And then
ink.
A frame can be anywhere from $1 at a dollar store all the way up to $200.
Well, it depends. I've collected some at salvage stores.
Yeah.
Which are some good frames, and a lot of them are dollar store, Dollar Tree frames, which are cheap, and they break apart really easily. But and of course, I had them all packed away when I moved, and some of them got broken that way. But I've got notebooks and notebooks full of, or what do you call them? Portfolios.
Yeah.
Full of pictures. I mean.
Now, can you go to a place and say, "Here, this is my portfolio. Take a look. I can help you out," or you're kind of on your own and hope for the best?
Yeah, I'm on my own hope for the best. I mean, when I talk to a potential model, they come to see me. They come to see my work. And,
Now, what do they do with it after that? They get a picture or two or three, and then they go what? Become stars, and then nothing is.
Nothing. They just some girls do it just for the art. Some do it only for the money, which is recently, and it's just they. I mean, amateurs usually don't get paid anything. You do it just for the trade for pictures, right? You give them the finished edited work. They could post them anywhere they want to post them. Problem is they can't sell them and make money off them. Well, I'm changing that now.
Now, do people do that? Do they take your photos and then they go make money and let you suffer?
A model
can
do that. I mean, they couldn't do that before because of my release. But verbally, I'm telling them they can go ahead and because a lot of these sites now, they got Patreon and OnlyFans and stuff like that these models post their pictures up. And actually, if they do that, I want my work to be shown, That's one way to be done. And they're going to, they charge for the whole site. So it's like $5 a month or something like that to look at their pictures and stuff. And mine would be included. So.
Pinterest or Pinterest or however you say that site. That's another one.
Pinterest.
Instagram. There's Spot Chat, which I was told to try, but I don't know if I'm going to yet. Twitter.
Well, the problem with the Instagram is it's like Facebook. If you post something even remotely against their community standards, they'll ban you.
Yeah. Well, see, you got to understand. There's people that what I call don't understand art and don't understand life, that'll see a naked woman, like you have a picture of a naked woman. She's and you made everything in the background red, and it looks like she's floating on a lake or flying in the air. There's another one, and people are like, "Oh, that's disgusting." I thought it was all right. I particularly see the sexual thing in it. If a woman's body's naked, well, that's a sexual thing, but maybe others don't. However, the way you do the photos, from what I've seen, is not sexual. There's nothing sexual about it. It's basically somebody posing somewhere, and they're not wearing any clothes. That's all.
Well, but I don't only do that, I mean, but still, yes. There's the nude art form, which is, I do like the artistic nude, and they're not sexual at all. Right, what you're trying to do is, goes back to revering women and stuff, but is showing off their beauty, basically. And let's face it, most women, I mean, I won't say most, many women are very beautiful or pretty or whatever you want to call them, and I want to capture that essence, but I want to capture more than just their beauty too. I want to capture their personality.
Now, have you ever made photos weird, like if a girl opens her mouth, has like a snake crawling out of it, and then or a woman opening, there's one of the girl standing over these guys dressed up like leprechauns, like an Alice in Wonderland thing. Then there's one where the woman's hands become a tree.
Yeah, that's called editorial or themed, which I do occasionally do such work. I do a theme shoot.
Now, does the girl have the rights to that as well? I mean, if you take her photo, does she have a right to say, "I want it done this way, I want it done that way, I want one all in blue, I want one with a blue dress on, I want to take a picture of one with a white dress on"?
If she wants to call the shots, she has to pay me.
Oh.
If I'm paying her, she does what I'm a director. I'm a producer and director.
Now can she make any request?
Yeah, I mean, they can have ideas. They come up with ideas. Most of the models who know what they're doing modeling, if I tell them to pose a certain way, they'll go from one pose to another on their own. They know what to fucking do.
Yeah. Now, have you ever talked about just doing wedding photo photography or
I did that, but I learned The couple that I did were terrible, but I've learned from it.
I've heard that. I've heard wedding photography is the worst.
It's very hard to do because, well, you got people in the way. You're in the way of other people. You're running all around. You don't have perfect lighting. So what I would do now, is you take the couple or the woman outside in her wedding gown and stuff like that, someplace with nice background, with nobody else around and stuff like that, and take everybody separately and romantic settings and whatnot, and try not just to do the wedding itself unless you just want snapshots,
What about animal photography at the fair of all the winning horses and some of the one guy that used to do the state fair? He's gotten $400, $500, $600 to take pictures of horses and cows.
Well, I don't know. I mean, you got to be. I mean, I take pictures of everything: animals, landscapes. Odd things on the ground, whatever, anything. I take barbed wire.
My personal favorite, although I do it with my phone, is. One reason is I don't know what kind of camera to buy. Second reason is I don't do it all the time, but I like to do nature photography. If I see animals or insects or like I got famous for kind of doing it on Facebook, bee photography, wasp photography, spider photography.
And you could get close-ups with your phone?
Yeah, you stand there, you zoom in. I mean, I'm not real close. The thing... I've had a few 4 or 5 bees one time chase me around. I don't think they're very happy about having their photo taken. Or you see ducks or something.
I don't consider phones real cameras. They're just...
No, it's because I don't know. I'm so amateur, but I did it, and they look nice, and I do it because I like the photography of nature. That's all.
Well, when I started off, I used any kind of camera I can get a hold of,
I remember back in the day when you had to pick 200, 400, 600, 800, and 1,000 speed film. Motion was 800 and 1,000 speed film. I've heard there's more than 1,000 speed, but that's all they sold in the stores. 200 was the worst.
Well, you can still do that digital now. You can do the different speeds with the digital.
Well, back in the day, you would have to take the print and put it in a machine and raise it or lower it, and then you could put 2 photos together. And
it's a lot of work in film photography. It really is.
Yeah.
Unless you get somebody else to do it for you, but then you don't get what you were looking for.
Well, today's a lot easier. Then you had to make the film. You had to make sure the film wasn't exposed. You had to do the film right, make the pictures, wait till they dried on a on a clothesline like thing. Then made sure that you liked them. Then keep the negatives. So you had folders and folders of negatives. And if
the worst part about that was the chemicals that you had to use.
I took it in high school as an extra credit thing. And what you did was you mixed this thing into something. I would go in a dark room and take it all out and do it. But you're supposed to do it in an 8 shape. Or a P shape, or there was an X shape for different colored photography, and then I think colored photography was even worse. But we used to mix the photos together and mix them all up and put one print on top of another print and make all sorts of pictures. Today, you can just edit it real quick and do it on your computer.
Yeah, you can do all that now.
It's I think it's easier because you just take out the card, you put it in the computer. You get the photos you want, you print them out, and there you're done. You don't got to do any work. But, you have to do some work, but not like you used to.
Regardless of how good you think you are as a photographer, you always have to do editing.
Yeah.
So, and that's just, just the way it is. You want to do different things, and, you could even get more creative by editing. And it used to be frowned upon that you put things in Photoshop and stuff like that, but not anymore. All the photographers use that now. So it's
and the biggest thing I didn't like doing was so many pictures, and then you got to go through each and every. So if you took 5, 6 pictures in a row of someone, you got to go through the thing, and even the bees and stuff on the flowers. I took multiple shots. You got to go through and pick which one you want and go through all the rest. And by the time you got through, you're like, oh, my eyes hurt. They all look the same to me after a while.
Well, I told you, it takes me sometimes 3-4 hours to work on one picture, and sometimes same thing when we were doing the paranormal stuff. I'd go back to it and go back to it and go back to it and redo it and redo it and look at it and look at it, you know. So it's a lot of work actually, but it's something I enjoy doing. It's the kind of work you enjoy doing.
Now with the
But
with the paranormal, what you're talking about is you would look at that picture for hours trying to find out if there's something in it. Then somebody would notice something, and then you go back and see if that was right.
yeah, I try to enhance it so you can see it better or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, that's that part of it. But I mean, there's also photojournalism that you could get into, which is taking which is newsworthy photos, or I thought about doing that part. That one, man, it gets really expensive with all the lenses and stuff like that. Yeah.
And I would think today, in today's world, you'd have to have some kind of a license to make sure you
I don't
did it right.
Not these paparazzi people who go out and stick their camera in people's faces.
Really?
Celebrities and stuff.
Oh. The paparazzi didn't do it like that?
Paparazzi goes and takes all the different celebrities. Sometimes the paparazzi gets, punched out because they're taking them illicitly. They don't want them. Now, if
well, the paparazzi is a whole different story. That's a whole different genre. That I mean, some of those photos you can get $2,000 a piece for if you go to the right person, if you go to the right thing, right?
they're not doing it for the art of it. They're doing it just to, the sensationalism. So.
See, I always thought they did it because they wanted to do it and they wanted to have fun taking a picture and they wanted to get the celebrity because someone paid them to do it.
Well, they get if they get right picture, different magazines and people will pay for it.
Well, I don't know how they would do that if I really don't know how the paparazzi work, to be honest with you. I never have figured it out how they work.
Well, they take their pictures and then they go to different magazines and places like that.
Is that how they do it? They run it like that?
So they try to sell them. That's all.
Yeah, I don't know anything about the paparazzi, other than the fact that I thought they would just run up to somebody, take a bunch of shots, and run away.
Well, it depends.
I don't know how they get paid. I don't even know if they're commissioned. Maybe they're hired by the news organization to do it. I don't know.
Well, sometimes they're hired by a magazine, but most of the time they're all freelance. And they do it and try to sell their stuff to magazines or whatever, like People and shit like that,
I know in the professional wrestling world, some people would just take random pictures and then have the wrestler sign them and sell them at wrestling conventions and stuff.
Well,
that's how Jim Cornette started. The manager, Jim Cornette, was a photographer. That's how Bobby Heenan started. The manager, Bobby Heenan, was a photographer.
Well, the thing is you got to watch out because a lot of these people don't want their pictures taken. You can get sued,
Well, if they're in public, I don't think there's anything against it. I mean, if you take somebody's picture with them knowing it, or asking if you can have a photo with them. But
well,
a lot of...
You take a picture of a man with somebody who's not his wife,
Well, what are they doing out in public with somebody that's not their wife?
Well, that's blackmail, whatever. Because they figure they can get away with it.
Yeah, I know. I've heard of that stuff, too. And I just noticed there's some blanks of non-speaking in our thing here. I don't know what's going on. The board was messing up a little. Anyways, so what do you got to do to Well, what computer programs do you use? We've already gone over the cameras. I mean, if somebody's listening and they say, "Oh, I want to do this hobby and I want to improve, or I want to do it better," what do you recommend for them?
Photoshop. That's the main one because you can do everything. You resize them. You can do anything.
And you just download it for free, or?
No, you have to pay for it.
Oh, you got to pay for it.
Well, usually it's 100 or more, depending. And then there's other programs. I got Photo Deluxe, which doesn't work on this computer for some reason. A couple other, which does things that Photoshop doesn't do. Well,
What is it? What kind of things does it do that the other one doesn't do?
well, I mean, you can. It's hard to explain. In Photo Deluxe, I mean, in Photoshop you could erase the background, but it's really hard to do. In Photo Deluxe, you could put a whole new different background, which is a lot easier.
Now, which one's better, Photoshop or Photo Deluxe?
Photoshop.
Photoshop is better.
Yeah, for most things, but there's a few things that Photo Deluxe did that the Photoshop didn't.
Yeah.
But
Because the background probably would be all right.
they keep upgrading to Photoshop, so I've had 4, 5, 6 copies of Photoshop. Right now, I got the 2019 copy. A lot of them using.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So when
And
you
you
use
got
the, so when you use these Photoshops and all this stuff, it's just like professional they use, or is it all different? I mean, like say this other guy you were talking about that women pay him. Is this stuff like universal all throughout the entire field, or do you guys pick and choose what you want to do, and that's what's so special about it? The model can come to you for this, go to him for that, go to somebody else for that.
Well, there are particular, I mean, photographers that do particular shoots and particular models that do particular shoots. Like, say, they do leg shoots, shoots of legs
Yeah.
or hair or, particular things, and that may be all exclusive they do. I mean, I do it all. I mean, there's so many genres.
Now, have you ever taken classes for it, or did you just train yourself?
No, I took classes. In college, I took classes.
No, I meant like studied under somebody with an apprenticeship or worked with somebody or.
No, they had photography classes in college.
Okay. So you basically just took the photography classes in college and then did it.
Yeah.
Because I've heard of people working with somebody. They've worked in another studio for a while before they went on their own.
Well, there's all kinds of ways, but that was the way I learned.
Now, what did the classes cover? Everything, or did they just give you a head start and you did the rest?
No, and we did architecture, landscape, and model, and portraits and stuff like that. When it came to modeling, there was 3 of us. I remember we were going to hire some models from Barbizon School of Modeling, but my wife didn't like that, so she modeled for me instead.
Okay.
And
So when you hire a model, I mean, you said this could go up to a lot of money. You were talking to me earlier about it.
It depends on what you do. I had one model who I said was my muse. I mean, it cost me, let me see, $300 just for the modeling. I took her to Vegas for 2 nights at a hotel. We saw a couple shows. We went around Vegas. I mean, not Vegas, Atlantic City, doing shoots. That cost me probably about $600-700 right there.
Yeah.
And that was back when I had the money. I don't have that kind of money now to be blowing.
Now, whatever happened to those photos? Did you get anything for them, or did you just keep them for yourself?
Well, basically, I have them for myself. I did post them on art sites.
Now, there's a lot of sites like ArtSite. I mean, if somebody's listening to this, they can go up there, get an account, and start doing it as well.
I mean, I had one that was called Redbubble. They were out of New Zealand or Australia or something like that. But now they went strictly commercial, and they're just selling products. And so, I mean, I had a bunch of stuff on there that I would sell, cheaply, but I would sell them, and and you get a lot of comments and good things and like that. But that's gone now; it's defunct basically. I did Flickr, which I still have, but it's really a pain in the ass because they only take so much now. Without you have to pay for a premium. And then I had a model site on Model Mayhem.
You should try it on Amazon.
Well, that's different, you have to have something to sell, physically sell, for Amazon.
I thought of making my nature photography into postcards, but I don't know how many people want to buy postcards.
Well, yeah.
Personally, I like barn photography and I like nature photography. That's about it. Like animal photography.
Well, I do everything. I like certain landscape, a certain architecture. I've done everything. Anything you can imagine, I've done. So.
All right, we're going to go on a quick break here. When we come back, I'm going to ask you about cameras and equipment types. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Yes.
All right, we're back. We're here with Mike, good friend of mine, Michael Alchemy. We've done paranormal investigations together. We've been good friends for a very long time here. Now let's get into the equipment. You mentioned Canon and Nikon, but let's go into lenses and cameras, and let's start with the phone. The simple somebody could start with their cell phone.
Well, nowadays I heard you could put lenses on your phone now.
Yeah, but they don't work.
I don't.
No, that you can put them on there, but they just magnify it a little bit better. That's all. It's nothing fancy like the camera lenses.
Well, I used to have a little Kodak where I did a lot of my landscape work, which was really good on that. But that I broke it. I must have broken about 20 cameras. I bought another Kodak, but it only takes a certain amount of pictures. It's weird. It's a refurbished camera, little Kodak, just for taking around, taking pictures, random pictures. But
I remember you used to carry 2 cameras with you when we did paranormal investigations, and you used to take care of nature and other stuff. And I remember when you're driving around, sometimes you would have 2 cameras with you just in case you saw something.
Yeah, I used to take one of my pro cameras and then the Kodak that I had. It's now defunct, broke. But my Canon, when I bought it years and years ago at Best Buy, it was $3,500 for the camera. Of course, you could buy lenses for these cameras, and they're more expensive than the camera.
Yeah.
And then if you want to print something out, you got the ink and the paper and all that stuff. That costs money. Lenses, you could get filters, you get tripods. The umbrellas, the lighting umbrellas, reflectors and stuff like that. It's costly. It's expensive hobby, basically. But when it comes down to it, it's all worth it. Unless you have something to screw up like my camera last shoot I did. I'm trying to get her to come back. But she's going through this depressive state, so she doesn't want to.
Well, everybody's half depressed right now. That's the problem. The news is depressing us. The news is making it so this is very depressing. They're not telling us any good news whatsoever.
I know. I get my news mostly on Facebook now, but I used to watch the news regularly, but
I stopped watching the news long ago when they didn't even report stuff right that was happening in the first place.
Well, but it's all repetitive. It's over and over, the same thing.
Well, they copy each other. It's like 2 news. I think it's CNN and Fox, and I think CBS and NBC are the only ones that do it. ABC, NBC, and CBS and Fox are the only 4 news groups. The rest of them copy all the other stuff.
I wouldn't consider Fox news.
No, Fox has a news group, but they're getting the same news that CNN's getting, and they both get them the same that NBC News did.
Well, it depends on the reporting too, and
Well, the reporter's probably working for all three groups, and it's like our local news radio. They have news that all of the stations get from one company. They send them news, and then they tell you it.
Well, you got the AP, and all that stuff like that.
So if you're an WNBC affiliate, you get this. WABC affiliate gets that. WCBS radio gets that. CNN affiliate or Fox affiliate will get this news. That's how they do it.
The affiliates sometimes are better than the bigger ones. Like Fox itself is bullshit.
Wow.
Their affiliates are not bad. They report to me.
Fox is all right. All the news groups are all right. It's just that
most people will tell you that Fox is all propaganda and crap.
Well, they pick what they want to tell you too.
And they tell you wrong, and they misinform you.
It's like what stories they want to tell you and how they want to tell you. It's nothing. They don't tell you like the McNair News Hour on PBS. Used to just say news. That's what happened to current events, and that was that. You made your own choice about it. That's the kind of news I like.
Yeah.
WNBC News on their WNBC radio or in New York City. Whatever it is in New York City. There.
My favorite cable
10
one
wins.
MSNBC. I like the reporters on that MSNBC.
The 10-10 wins is another one. They tell you what they want to tell you when they want to tell you, and then you make the decision about what it is. Some news groups don't do that. CNN gives you the opinion, gives you the facts, gives you the opinion. It's weird how they do it. But now let's get into camera buying. If I was to go out and I bought a camera, I was going to go to the store, look at it on the shelf. Give me some tips on what I should be doing.
Well, some cameras are now getting cheaper. The Nikon I got cost me $700, which is compared to the Canon, which was $3,500. You know, but the Nikon works just as good, if not better. And you know, you get your accessories with it and all that stuff, and that costs a lot of money. I want to try, you know, something like Olympus. I used to have when I had the film camera, a Pentax. I used to use the Pentax film camera and 35 millimeters. If you want to get 35 millimeter, whether it's digital or film, a lot of people still work in film, but it's a real pain in the butt because you know you either develop yourself, which costs a lot of money and time and equipment, or you get it developed and for you, and you can't get it specified how you want it done. So
yeah, now what's the difference in now? I see a difference in the models. Maybe you don't. I see a difference in the Canon. I know Nikon is good, Canon's good. I don't know if Kodak's good. They make great film. Like the Fuji company used to make the great film, but I don't know about their products.
Well, I mean, it's the same thing with Polaroid. I mean, you know, they're all getting into digital now. So, but they're not professional. I mean, as far as using them for professional shoots. But I've taken some with the old Kodak I used to have that turned out really excellent. You know.
Now, what's the difference between the film camera and the digital camera as far as using it for taking pictures? I mean, I know because it takes film, it does this and does that. But somebody that's never heard this topic before doesn't know a thing about the camera. What's the difference?
Well, there's really not much difference except one's digital and one's film, you know.
Okay. Now, what about the shutter speeds? Are they automatic now? I remember you used to have to pick the speed on top, wind the film up.
Well, I mean, you had to do your own shutter speeds, and you still do that on digital cameras. You got to do each one the way you want it. You know, and then again, you know, once you get to the editing stage, you do all that in Photoshop. And like all photographers screw up, right? Like I've taken pictures where they're too dark or something like that. So like in Photoshop, you can brighten them back up.
Well, that was one of my questions. How have you screwed up? I think some of the screw-up stories sometimes are better than the success stories.
Well, I mean, you know, you think, you know, being professional means you don't screw up. That's bullshit. I mean, sometimes I had my hand in front of the lens. You know?
You put your hand in front of the lens?
Yeah, without realizing it, you know?
Well, what did you do that for? That's a rookie mistake.
with the flash. You put your hand in front of the flash, and it just shows, this big shadow and stuff like that. So you fucked up.
That's not even a rookie mistake.
No, it's a rookie mistake. But I mean, basically, I mean, you just do things unconsciously. I mean, the point for me though is when I take a picture, I try to picture it first. I get an example or sample of what I'm looking for, and then I picture it in my mind. I reframe it in my mind. I frame it in the camera itself. And sometimes you got to make sure I'm not too close or too far away or whatever the case may be, and sometimes that's a screw up in itself, depending on what you're taking. Like if I get too close to take a butt picture, I'm going to make the butts look huge, right?
Well, what's wrong with a woman with a big butt?
Well, I'm just saying, but if they don't have
yeah.
one, you can make the butt look big. Like I could make a woman look taller than she is by, getting on the floor and taking a picture, whatever, looking up at her, right? You can make them look taller. I mean, different angles make a difference too.
Now, does that ever tell you out getting up and down on the floor, going around, running around, doing?
Oh yeah, I mean, before I had my heart attack and stuff, man, I almost killed and twisted my ankle and killed myself, especially out in nature, on rocks and branches and trees, and even backing into stuff and falling into curves and stuff. I mean, you try to get the picture and you do anything to get the picture. And
the worst one is when you're standing in the water and you back up and fall into the water.
Well, if you do that, you can ruin your camera.
Wow.
I mean, I've taken pictures out in the rain, but I put a clear plastic over the camera, right? So the rainwater doesn't get in the camera itself. Well, I mean, you can buy cameras that do underwater shots. They're expensive too. Like I said, lenses are expensive. You got filters, and you can't just have one filter. Like different color filters, red, blue, green, yellow, and certain types of filters will filter out certain types of light, right? Or whatever. And basically, I don't use filters. I figure why bother
Now, when you're talking about lenses and filters, for the person that doesn't know what we're talking about right now, they're just tuning in, or they're listening to us later, or they're not listening to the live part, or they don't know anything about photography. For my audience,
you can get a, let's say, as far as lenses go, you get one that does macro close-ups, a lens. You get one that does a zoom, or what do you call it? Real
now
far
they
away.
cost separately. I thought a camera came with them.
You can buy a whole kit, but most of the time you have to pay them separately. And like I said, lenses can cost more than the camera itself.
Yeah, because I've seen National Geographic lenses that are almost as big as a duffel bag.
Yep, and those huge ones. Those for long distance.
You got to put on a little stand that looks like a little stand, and put the camera on another tripod stand.
Yeah, the reason for that is most of those are taking pictures of animals that you can't get really close to, so you want to take, which looks like a close-up picture with that long lens,
Well, what's wrong with walking up to a lion? They ain't going to hurt you.
Yeah, you don't know. I mean, plus you don't want to disturb its natural habitat or what it's going about as a business.
Yeah.
You don't want to be an intruder,
Now, I know an elephant will charge you. I know they'll take you right out.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, you don't want to screw up their natural habitat.
No, I know that from I've taken pictures of snakes, and I was worried that I would either, bother it on where it's going or hunting or whatever it was doing. I remember we were taking pictures of deer. I was worried about me disrupting their eating habits because they were getting afraid of us, and they looked like they were young.
I remember when I was younger.
The bees are going around, and the bees are pollinating. I don't want to disturb what they're doing.
When I was younger, I had a couple boa constrictors, and I wish I still had one. But I'm afraid to have something like that with my cats around.
Why? It's not going to do anything to them.
Well, the cats will go after the snakes. Plus, a snake, if it's boa constrictor, it'll crush it and eat the damn.
Well, a tiny boa isn't going to eat a cat.
You'd be surprised.
Yeah.
I mean,
I guess if they can eat rabbits, they can eat cats.
Yep. So.
What kind of snake you had? Pythons?
No, it was a boa constrictor.
Tiny.
2 of them. One was arm's length, 2 arms out, like.
Yeah.
And the other one was smaller, and I sold that one, gave it away, or sold. I can't remember now. It was years ago. But and the hardest part, of course, they're different than like even a cat. Cat is vicious when it kills an animal.
Yeah.
It rips it apart and stuff like that. I mean, just guts everywhere. Whereas a snake will swallow it whole.
Head first. That's why it can't eat humans. Our shoulders will get in the way.
Well, it depends on the snake. I mean, I've seen those huge, giant pythons that could eat. They've eaten alligators and stuff, crocodiles. And you can imagine, if it eats that, it can eat a person. And the thing is, they eat cleanly. They just swallow you whole. So,
yeah, alligators will rip you apart too.
Yeah.
But they swallow you whole. Whatever chunks they take off of you, they're swallowing whole.
Yeah, same thing like sharks, right? They do the same thing. They bite off pieces and whatever and chew you up. And anyway, well, I don't know what's more I can say. I mean, I do it for the art. I do it for the fun. I do it, I don't do it to make money. I spend more money than I've ever made. And like I said, I do all kinds of photography, but haven't gotten out and about so much anymore because I don't have a vehicle.
Well, as long as we're on, well, I would think now would be a perfect time to go out and do nature because the nature is just going nuts with us people staying inside.
Well, I don't know. I tell you what, it's supposed to be springtime, but right now, the plants know it, the birds know it, but the weather itself doesn't know it. And it's cold and stuff. So it's supposed to warm up this coming week, though. So
well, we're only into the beginning of April. I remember the when I was a kid, Palm Sunday and Easter Sunday and all that being cold. So
yeah, well,
we just had Palm Sunday. Now it's going to be Easter Sunday.
Well,
and hopefully we can get in the buildings by then.
April showers bring May flowers, and that's sort of bullshit.
Yeah, and the Mayflower brought a bunch of immigrants.
Well, that's something different. That's what they call it, though.
Yeah.
But the thing is photography is. I mean, anybody with half an ass can take a camera.
So if somebody's out there listening and they're a model and they want to get in touch with you, how would they get in touch with you?
You can get in touch with me in my Facebook account, which is Michael Zangardi at Facebook.
Okay.
That's my real name.
Yeah.
Yeah. And once you get that, I can give you my phone number and my email address and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can get through to me on Facebook. Mostly.
Or they can contact me, cwlawrence01@gmail.com is my email. Our website is www.brotherwade.com.
Yeah.
It's been nice having you on the show, Mike. Once this weather stops, we need to get out. We need to get... maybe you could teach me how to do photography. There's a great place up in Syracuse, New York, called Raw Lynn. They had a couple cameras, $200, $300. There's another one, Jackson. It's like this electronic. I think it was more of a pawn shop.
Yeah, you can get refurbished cameras.
Now, what's the difference between a refurbished one and a new one? The refurbished is not. Basically, they just rebuilt it, right? It's like a TV. Nothing's wrong with it. Nothing's crazy about it.
Yeah, they just rebuilt it, refixed it.
Because some people are not too savvy on refurbished stuff, but I say as long as they take it down to bare bones and replace everything that's wrong with it, there's nothing wrong with it because it's just rebuilding it.
No,
it's not.
I mean, you may not get the most up to date one cameras and
Wow,
stuff.
I don't.
Getting up to date stuff is expensive. I mean, you could buy all these camera magazines for accessories and whatnot.
I don't trust myself near a naked woman. I'll probably get in trouble.
You probably would. You got to
Say
watch what
something
you
wrong,
say.
touch her wrong.
You can't touch them.
Now, have you ever
Without
had models that were absolutely disgusting to work with? I want to ask you this question because I can imagine some of these models being prim and proper little girls, and they want to act like a little shabby, and they want to act like they're little Miss Everything, and they're not. And then there's some that are adults, and they're nice. And what I mean by little girls is they're acting like little Miss Prissy, little Queenie Bops.
Yeah, I've had a couple like that.
And others being absolutely mature. What's your war stories on working with models?
Well, I've had one model, supposed to be a professional model, who cost me a bundle of money anyway. We were doing outdoor pictures, and it was cold as hell outdoor. And afterwards, she complained to other models and whatnot that she was doing these nude outdoor pictures, and it was so cold. And I said, all she had to do was say no.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't do anything without consent.
Have you ever had models come on to you?
No, not really.
I mean, they might start some of the instigations.
Only models that would be like that were actually ex-girlfriends. Girlfriends. If they're girlfriends, then it's a different story. But hey, I even get permissions from them. I get those signed contracts.
Now, when you say these signed contracts, that means you absolutely have every rights to it, or you're going to give them some, or they have nothing?
No, I own the copyright to the pictures that I take. Okay, that's number one. Number two is the release means they are of legal age.
Okay.
I will not take anybody underage.
Yeah.
Unless they have a parent or guardian there with them.
Even then, I wouldn't do it.
Even then, I still wouldn't do it because you can get backlash from it.
Well, I mean, you took a birthday photo or something because we were looking for a photography for my daughter. Her mother agreed, her mom, and you took really professional photographies with me and her there. But that was because we were looking. We did a Christmas card or something for one, and her mom wanted her to have some photos because the school photos messed up. I thought you really did well.
Well, I took some really good ones of your daughter.
I think you did really well, but my daughter was a pain in the ass.
Well,
my daughter was not the type to work with. She is not.
Like I have a niece, and she hammed it up, and a lot of them are hamming up for the camera, right?
Yeah.
And some are just, they get bored real quick, and they get tired of being told what to do and being directed and stuff like
because
that.
at one time Sears, when we had Sears here, and I think Walmart used to do it, they would charge you almost $400 for professional photography.
Yeah.
And my daughter's mom did have a professional do it, like at one of those things. She had to pick a package and everything, and by the time she was done, she paid $360.
Yeah, well, same thing with the school pictures. You got to pay on it.
Well, not anymore. They're like $60. You can get some decent pictures. Not everybody in the world needs a picture of your child. Like George Carlin said, that's the worst thing in the world is someone taking out pictures of their children and showing you. Your child looks a lot better, and you can't say anything.
Right. Yeah, I agree there. Everybody thinks their kid's the cutest, prettiest, whatever.
But the school photographer, I guess, was mean to her that year and whatever, and we didn't like the pictures. We complained, and there's nothing they could do about it. So, all right. My email again is cwlawrence01@gmail.com. My website is www.brotherwade.com. We want to thank Mike for coming on the program. Let's talk about it. We'll probably have him more later.
And if any models or any people, potential models, contact you contact me, and we can work it out.
Yes, I can. They can contact me if they feel more secure going through me. Thanks for coming on the show, Mike. This was a great time with you talking about photography.
We could do another show on esoteric stuff, like...
yeah, I plan on having you back. You know that.
You remember, like, the time we did that video blog or whatever you call it.
Yeah,
So,
we were on Blog TV at one time together before Blog TV left.
And I remember we were screwing around during the day, and we had like 400 views.
Yeah.
And then at night, when I did the serious thing about ley lines and whatnot, we had less. But that's the kind of things I know, esoteric stuff.
Yeah, you do that esoteric stuff as well. That should be a great show as well on here. I plan on if that. We might wait until this virus thing is open, and then we can open up the phone lines and broadcast it on YouTube and all that. This is kind of a pre-recorded thing, folks. We didn't open it up. Yeah, we didn't open it up to the callers because I don't want them calling in and being nasty about this stuff. I can just picture callers calling in and making funny comments to you about naked women and all that, and I don't think you want to put up with that. You haven't been feeling well.
No.
And
I put up enough of that with you.
yeah, well, my comment is if I'm going to pay a woman $200 and she's going to be naked, I'm going to be doing more than taking photos. Maybe I shouldn't say that, but, I mean, really.
You can't do that. It's unprofessional for one.
I know. I'm not going to pay a woman to get naked anyways.
Well,
she's either willingly going to get naked or she's not.
Well, then you won't get any.
I know that. That's why I sit here all alone and single. With that being said, folks, my email again is cwlawrence01@gmail.com. The website's www.brotherwade.com. We'll see you next time, folks.